So this is the thing, you have, like they just released a lot of freedom. You don't have to worry about all of this. Like, you can bring a new guy and teach him how to manage DAG in less than a week. He will be as good as me. But you can't teach someone how to manage CCR and SLR that I'm really trying to forget, but I had to remember the last 2 days. And yeah, there's a catch. It's only 64 bits. You can have 32 bits. Actually, because they removed the single instance, which is, if you remember in Exchange, if you send an email to everyone, it's being stored once, and then only stumps, like so. So now they removed that. So if I send 100 megabyte email to everyone, don't send 100 megabyte email, by the way. It will be stored in every like mailbox individually. So you think, oh, the data space will expand. They managed to somehow to compress the whole thing. So we usually anticipate like 30 to 40% of more space for the same amount of emails when you migrate. So yeah, we need more storage. With storage is becoming more and more cheap. And actually with the DAG, Microsoft says, not me, I don't actually endorse this, but they say we can just use something called GBD, I believe, just a bunch of disks. We can go to Stables and buy normal like SAT disk and just put it on the server, because guess what? If the disks die, we can have up to 15 more replicas. Of course, I won't do that unless what Microsoft says, if you have 3 replicas, and they call this native protection, you didn't even need to have backup, because whatever happens, you're gonna be able to restore your data if you have a minimum of 3 replicas of a database. And I can talk about DAG for the rest of my life, but I would like to hear if you have any questions or if you have anything you want me to repeat. Oh, this is really ugly.
So how do they all stay synchronized using DAG?
Okay, this is a good question actually, Jeff. You've been managing Exchange at some point of your life, don't you?
Maybe.
Okay. I can tell. So let's say this is mailbox 1, and this is mailbox 2, and this is mailbox 3. So we have my mailbox resides on a database called DB1, and this is the logs for DB1 logs, and this is my mailbox. Or let's forget about my mailbox, the whole database. The 3 servers are part of the DAG. DAG is the servers, so we have up to 16 servers. Once you join the server to the DAG, you can do whatever you want with the databases. It's not a one-to-one relation. You can have the 16 servers in the DAG, and you don't do any copies. And creating a copy actually is easy. So, if you remember, I said it's not tied to the server anymore. So when you go to any one of the 3 servers, and you log into the Exchange Management Console, you don't go actually to manage the databases under the servers. There's servers, and there's organization. So you go to manage the databases under the organization, and this is how it's going to look like. You're going to have DB1, DB2, DB3, and you click on DB1, you select DB1, you will see active on mailbox 1, passive on mailbox 2, and maybe there's nothing on mailbox 3. So what you can do, you can come here, right click, and you say create a copy, and you select mailbox 3. Then you will have passive again here on mailbox 3. So creating a copy is something you just do by going to the Exchange Management Console, right click, create a mailbox, create a copy, delete a copy, mount this, make this active, make this active. You can give them actually priority. So if this dies, don't go to this, activate this one. It's really, as I said, you bring someone new, you teach him in a week, Actually, it takes like 1 hour to teach him, and like, but I mean, it takes a week to remember and to be familiarized with it, like to be really confident with it. But it's really just a matter of right-click on it, create a copy, dismount, mount. It will show you healthy, show you replicating. So what happens when you create a copy? It will do two things. It will start by seeding. Anyone's familiar with seeding, BitTorrent, all of these concepts? So it's a synchronous kind of replication. It will actually start seeding the database because it's a lot of data at the beginning, right? And it's because there's no log files. Like, if you remember, this is how it works. We have a database, we have logs arriving all the time. But what happens, for example, you send me an email, I receive the email right away, but because Exchange Server is reading from the logs, it takes time to commit the data to the logs to the database, but you have access to the data as long as it's in the logs, right? So my mailbox resides on the database and in the logs, and once it has time, it has free time, it will commit the logs. But it will not delete them. It will just commit them and keep them there. It will only delete them when we do a full backup of the Exchange Server. And this is why if you forget to do backup of your Exchange Server for a month, you will have no more space on C. I've done that. Guilty. So now, what happens is it will actually need a copy of this to start with, because this is the only way to do that. And you do this by seeding. So you seed this. Once you have a replica of this, it will start doing something called log shipping. So it will not wait for the logs to be committed. It will be sending the logs. And actually, this is really cool because a lot of the time the corruption will be in, like, corruption comes from, for example, your server is working fine and then power goes down. So the log will be half written. So the data will be lost. And the log that comes after it, it will be not from the same, so there will be a disconnection in here, for example. So this is gonna get you in a situation that the database is gonna be unusable and you have to restore it. The nice thing about here, that you ship the log, if actually you commit it here and this database gets corrupted, it will not be committed here. So you can actually prevent data corruption because this gonna, if this one get corrupted, it's gonna fail, and this one is gonna take over automatically. And then it will gonna fix it because it's gonna ship the log back, or delete it, or manage it. Database corruption still happen in 2010 and like 2007 too, but it's much like actually now Microsoft does not speak about it anymore. And this is what I'm saying. They even say if you have 3 copies, you don't need backup. So this is how it goes: seeding for the database, log shipping. And log shipping was introduced in CCR and LCR and SCR. Like, it's not something new to 2010. It just got improved in 2010. Does this answer your question?
It does. Thanks, Mal.
My pleasure. Tony, what's your name?
I don't know.
So yeah, so buy Exchange Server from 2010 from me. I'll give you $10 discount. I just love doing. I believe this is a big thing, and I really like to spread the knowledge because I really believe that it's gonna make life much easier with 2010 than 2007. 2007 was nice when it came out, but it's really complicated and complex, and I don't like it.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just had a quick question. Are there any kind of like latency requirements or any kind of?
Awesome question, actually. I would love to speak about this. So what we usually do, and this is not a requirement, this is a good practice to do. What we usually do, we have 2 separate networks. So we have mailbox 1 and mailbox 2, right? And we have, the server has 2 NICs. So we call this one public and this one private, or replication and Outlook, whatever you want, or public. And we do the same. So we have 2 separate networks.